Rule number one, in real estate, you make your money when you buy. So all of the other stuff that follows, and these things will stack on each other. Don't ever forget rule number one. In fact, if you can remember rule number one, that you make your money when you buy, that means you've got to buy it right every time. No matter what kind of investing you're doing, whether it's value add or if you're buying for long-term rentals and you're buying cash flowing properties, you have to buy things right. And by buying it right, you're able to overcome any of the problems. You could go over budget on your renovation. It could take you too long to get things done. Maybe it's a slow sale market. It doesn't matter. If you've bought it right, you're still going to make your money. When you sell it, that's when you realize it. But buying it right, it's the number one rule for a reason, because it's the most important of all of the rules. Rule number two, guys, and these are going to stack on each other, like I said, buy the right kind of properties. So identify what it is that you want to go into. When I was starting out, we identified that we wanted to buy value add single family homes. And so we went about finding fixer-uppers, homes that needed a lot of work, and we bought them, we fixed them up. The idea was to buy them, fix them up, and sell them, and do this as fast as possible. You don't have to follow in my footsteps here, guys. It doesn't matter what kind of real estate you're doing. Just choose your path. Look into your lane and figure out which ones you're going to go for. It doesn't matter if it's single family like I started out with, or you could be doing hotels or apartment complexes. You could be doing commercial. There's all kinds of ways for you to make money real estate investing. When you're first starting out, pick a lane and stay in it until you get really good at it, and then move on to the other types of real estate. The reason that we chose single-family housing is just because that was the easiest path for us. There was lots of them at the time. Part of picking your lane is, when I say buy the right properties, buy the properties that are going to appreciate. Buy in places where you have equity and that you're going to see appreciation over time. Or even that you know that if you buy it today at a low price and you put the value add in, you're able to sell it tomorrow as fast as you can at a higher price. So buying the right properties means buying the stuff where you can make money. Buying it right is the first number one rule. Buying the right properties is the number two rule. You see how these things stack up? Rule number three, location, location, location. And guys, you can buy properties. It doesn't matter if you're in an A area, a B area, a C area, or a D area. You can make money in any area. Just know that you want to buy the worst house in the best neighborhood that you can afford. So if you're buying in a D area, you still want to buy the worst house in the D area so that you have room to buy it cheap and then fix it up and then sell it at the top of the market, whatever that top of the market is. So buying it right again, and then having it in the right area, being something that you've got plenty of equity on. And it's true. The better the place that you can buy, the better the appreciation will be, the better experience that you'll have. We moved to the island of Puerto Rico because times got hard in Orlando, Florida, and our margins had come down. So the location for us was to come to the island of Puerto Rico, where our money went further and we could make a higher profit margin on the deals that we were doing. Rule number four, never buy real estate on emotion. Don't fall in love with an investment property. You fall in love with the house that you're going to move into. You renovate the house that you're going to move into the level that you want to live in it, but don't buy investment real estate on emotion. You want to be able to be methodical about it. You want to make sure that you're buying something, like we said, in the right location at the right price, that you can do the value add real estate investing so that you can make money. And it doesn't matter that you love the house or not. People live in the area. Again, we've made a fortune buying in areas of town that I wouldn't want to live in, but there are people that do live there. And so we provide housing for those people that live in those areas. We like to take the worst house in the neighborhood, fix it up to be the best house in the neighborhood. And so the person who lives in the house, whether they're buying it from us to live there as their home or they're renting from it, either way, they're now renting or buying from us the very best house in the area where they're going to live. So emotions, we try to leave them at the door. You check your emotions at the door. I hear all of the time, oh, I would never buy that because I wouldn't live there. Well, guys, again, I've made a fortune buying things that I didn't want to live in areas that I wouldn't want to live, but other people do live there. So take the emotions out of it. It's a numbers game. Do the math. If the math works, that's what you want to invest in. Rule number five, guys, this is a big one. If I say rule number one is the most important rule, the golden rule maybe, rule number five is probably the one that most people will struggle with, or the one that I see people that are afraid to pull the trigger. So rule number five is don't be afraid to pull the trigger. What does that mean? That means when you see a good deal, it's okay to say yes. If you've decided to get into this game and to become a real estate investor, when you find the deal of a lifetime, don't talk yourself out of it. Take the emotions out of it. I know that you're scared. I know that there are reasons why things could go wrong. You want to jump in with both feet, taking action. Don't be afraid to pull the trigger, guys. This is going to be the difference between you becoming a real estate investor or you just going on YouTube and watching a whole bunch of videos about how to become a real estate investor and maybe gaining all of the knowledge in the world, but never taking action. Just don't be afraid to pull the trigger. Don't be that guy. Rule number six, you got to have reserves. remember this, when you're a real estate investor, there are going to be problems. There's going to be things that you didn't think of. Something's going to happen that you weren't expecting. So make sure that when you're doing the numbers and you're figuring out the math, you have enough reserves that you can roll with the punches. It's super important that you don't get yourself in a position where you have a hiccup and your renovation cost goes up by $5,000 or $10,000 and you have to stop everything because you don't have the money to finish it. And now your deal just dies slowly on the vine. You guys have to be able to have some reserves. So anticipate that you're going to have some problems. What we like to do is when we're doing a renovation projection, for instance, we'll go through and we'll do the renovations and say we come up with $35,000. We'll go back and we'll say, but we want to have a contingency of another 10% to 20% so that we have plenty of reserves in case something comes up, and something does come up quite often. I mean, the amount of times that things have gone perfect, sometimes they do, but most of the time we experience problems. So remember rule number 1, you got to buy it right so that you can roll with these punches. But this rule number 6, you also have to have reserves so that you can roll with the punches and so that you can finish your project and get to the end and make your money. Rule number 7, guys, please, please, please be careful with debt. I get that going out and finding a hard money lender and then borrowing some more money from a private lender, and so stacking up all of this debt on top of something that you think is the deal of a lifetime sounds really good for you. And it is not a bad way to do real estate. I get it. When I started out, I had no money, and that was the way I did it. But just be careful about debt. Debt can crush you. It can crush your real estate deal. You could end up doing something that looks like a great deal, and you have hiccups, and it takes too long, and the interest rate keeps running, or the interest keeps running and eats up all of your profit. And at the end of the day, you've fixed it up and you're selling it, or you fixed it up and now you're renting it and you're trying to refi, and you don't have enough equity because you had all this debt. So just be very, very careful with debt. What I like to do when we're borrowing money on our flips, if we go to the hard money lender, we want to borrow about 75 or 80% of the total purchase and renovation costs. And I always want to have 20 or 25% of either my own money or my partner's money. So it's okay to bring in partners who have the cash and not have it be debt, because you want to have the margin. You want to have enough room in there that at the end of the day, you're going to be able to sell it and pay off that lender. There's nothing worse than doing a value add real estate investment deal, and at the end of the day, the only one making any money is your hard money lender. Rule number 8, don't be afraid to invest your own money. I just said in rule number 7 that we like to have our own money in these things. So I get it. When I first started out, I didn't have any money and I had to use only other people's money. And for 25, almost 26 years, I've continued to do real estate investing using other people's money. But as soon as I had some of my own money, I started investing my own money. And later on, after I'd been doing it for a while, I've become fanatical about putting as much of my money out into the real estate investing deals that I'm doing. Because one, I know that I'm going to make money on them. I know that I'm going to get a high return, and I want my money working for me as hard as I work for me. So this is a big key for you guys. Use other people's money to get started, but as soon as you can, or if you're starting out and you've got a little nest egg, don't be afraid to put your money where your mouth is. You want your money to get out there and work as hard for you as you work for you. And if you're afraid to invest your own money, maybe you shouldn't be doing that deal, or maybe this isn't for you. So don't be afraid to use your own money. This is a real big key. Rule number 9, guys, don't sell everything. If you're just a wholesaler or if you're a fix and flipper, the way we started was fix and flip, and we did really probably hundreds, maybe even 1,000 deals before we started keeping rental properties. And we basically created a job for ourselves because we were buy it, fix it, sell it as fast as we can, or put it under contract and wholesale it as fast as we can. My goodness, I look back on what I did 25 years ago, and some of the properties that I sold that I just dream about, if I still owned them, they could be worth millions of dollars because I would have held on to them for 25 years. I am encouraging you guys, don't make this mistake. You've got to fight like hell to keep some of these properties. And I mean from day one. If you want to come in and get in the fix and flip business because you need to make money, or you want to be a wholesaler because you think it's a great way to start real estate investing and you need to make money quickly, wonderful, do that. But also know going in that you're going to buy some real estate to hold on to it for the long term. In my experience, guys, holding on to real estate and getting that cash flow and keeping it for 3, 5, 10 years, that means you're going to build wealth and you hit a grand slam home run on every deal that you do like that. And I promise you, you guys are going to have some deal of the lifetime that you're going to sell, and you're going to be kicking yourself for selling it like I do. I mean, really the stuff that I get upset with myself about over the last 25 years, it's always about the stuff that I didn't do, or the stuff that I sold. So just be careful of that. Know that going in. You want to keep real estate. You don't just want to be a wholesaler. You don't just want to be a fix and flipper. You want to be able to get into that point of owning real estate, keeping it for a long time. That's how you build wealth.